What's up, guys? Just wanted to make a quick one for you tonight. Sherry McMillan asked us to make a video and of some thoughts about the coronavirus pandemic and what we're noticing that we can't buy in the stores. And right off the bat, when this whole thing started, of course, everybody's going crazy about the toilet paper and the paper towels and all this other stuff. And what I was noticing was you couldn't find ramen. You couldn't find peanut butter, and tuna was getting pretty scarce. And of course, you can't buy that because this is from Dave Schramm, Grown at Home, West Virginia. This is reimagined. I did a review of that one not too long ago. But I got lucky the other day because I went to the store and I was able to find all three of those things, except for that. And so basically, I really wanted to see what the whole hype about the ramen peanut butter tuna thing was. And so, I've never had it before, but apparently it's pretty popular. The ramen, peanut butter, and tuna snack, sandwich, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to give it a try and see if this was really even worth the hype. Not putting any hot sauce on it because you can get hot sauce anywhere. It's crunchy. It's not as bad as I expected it to be. But, if you're running low on supplies and you've got ramen and you've got peanut butter and you've got tuna, I'm pretty sure you could live off of that pretty easily for a few days or whatnot. But, during this whole epidemic thing pandemic, what do you even want to call it? It gets people thinking and contemplating, life decisions and what you can buy, what you can't buy. Me personally, I would say close to 20 years ago, I was, senior in high school and kind of trying to figure out where I wanted to go in life. And then a friend of mine invited me to a youth group, and the rest is history. I can't really say me because heard the gospel of Jesus, and it was like light switch. I've got a little bit of purpose now, and I don't have to go through life just wondering who I am. But as far as day to day living and jobs and stuff, it's not all. None of that stuff is written in stone. I mean, God gives you tools. He gives you talents, and you use them and make a living for yourself. But of course, I always seem to get a little bit absent-minded when stuff like this goes. But as far as my walk, probably the last 15 years or so, I've been researching more Reformed theology, covenant theology, and getting more, I guess you could say, out of my heart and into my head, trying to look at the world, look at theology a little bit more logically and see kind of how all the pieces fit. And I used to be charismatic Pentecostal, and it just got to the point where the things that were going on in the services, I was legitimately hungry for that stuff back then. But then it's like the more that I pressed in, the more I wasn't getting any of it. And so I'm like, is there something wrong with my faith? Is there something that I'm doing wrong? Am I not giving enough? And of course, a lot of your televangelists would say, well, this doesn't work unless you're giving and you're sacrificing. I'm sorry, that turned me off. And the bottom line is that we are all alienated and hostile towards God before God comes down and gives us the faith and gives us the necessary means to supplement our faith with repentance and turn away from pretty much our sin. Paul Washer talks about, if you want to know if you're saved, you talks about relationships with sin. It's like when you truly get saved, the sin that you once loved, you now hate, and the God you once hated, you now love. And apart from grace, that's just simply not going to happen. And you get flack from people on social media and say, yeah, it's just a fairy tale. And there's plenty of resources out there that we can give a pretty good argument of the truthfulness to it. But the fact is that unless God moves in your heart and causes that desire to seek him, the head's not going to follow. And I found out I'm not too great at just speaking my mind. It's like I've got to have something in front of me. But yeah, I've been researching more Reformed theology, Calvinism, that kind of thing. It's given me a lot of the answers that I looked for in my early years and couldn't find them elsewhere. And that's not to say that I'm hostile towards Pentecostals. I just don't agree with it anymore. But going back to the whole idea of things you can't find in the stores, things you can't buy, there's a thought that hit me a couple days ago because I was just getting really stirred up, just really thinking about things and thinking about where things are going. And I said, all the money in the world can't buy back the years that you've wasted on just stupid things. And it also, all the money in the world cannot buy you certainty of what's going to happen, tomorrow or the next day or the next year after that. And there's only one thing that's been constant, and that's the Word of God, the Bible. It doesn't change. The message is the same. That in the beginning, God gave man a choice, and knowing already that what man was going to do, and well, man failed, and on and on and on. You see man failing, and God says, if you do this, you'll live. It's a covenant of works. Do this and live, and obey me, and you'll be blessed. But over and over and over and over again, the men fail, and so God established a covenant of grace, basically saying, since man cannot fulfill the law and the standard of perfection that the law requires, God's got to step in and do it himself. And so, Jesus, being a pre-existing member of the Trinity, he you gotta love it when you're trying to explain things and your brain gets all foggy, and it's like, man, it's right there, and it's in the heart, but the mouth just can't quite get it out. But it's like, I was telling a friend of mine at work, I said, because we were talking about the biblical definition of Trinity, and I said, there's really not very many good analogies of it, but you have the Father, they're all God, but Father is God, Son is God, Spirit is God, but the Father is not the Son, and the Son is not the Spirit. And God sent the Son to... God orchestrated, the Father orchestrated, this is how... I'm going to explain it. The Father orchestrated the plan of redemption. The Son came as a man, fully God, fully man, and he carried it out. He completed the work, and he fulfilled the covenant of works, and then gave his life, died. And then the Spirit, who is also God, is the one who, as the Father and the Son are seated in heaven, because God is on his throne, and the Son, he is sitting at the right hand of power. Sorry guys, it's literal. He's right there. It's not an analogy saying, well, he's just right at the right hand of power, and he's the only one there. It's like, no, because there are scriptures saying that, there are eyewitnesses saying we saw him seated at the right hand of God, and if you want to use that logic, you go through every verse that says right hand and see if that line of logic fits, because Jesus healed the right hand of a leper. Did he do it as an analogy? No, he literally did it. And then, you go into Revelation where it talks about, men will not be able to buy and sell unless they take the mark in their right hand or their forehead. Are you going to spiritualize that one, or are you going to literalize that one by saying, well, if right hand is power, then I guess the whole idea that it's an implantable microchip doesn't fly either. So you got to be consistent. But anyway, yeah, I'm not quite sure what I've covered already. Just wanted to give something a little bit quick and share some thoughts. And, everybody be safe out there. And a lot of people say that it's not fair that the government's making us do all these things and staying quarantined. And, I'm not going to get off into conspiracy theories, because I believe Romans, I think it's either chapter 11 or 13. I can't remember right off the top of my head. But it talks about God giving us governments to punish the wicked, and basically for our own good. And yes, we're humans, the system can break, but in the grand scheme of things, God knows what he's doing. He's got it all planned out. Bad things are going to happen. And, every one of us, there's a possibility we might get sick. We might die. Even worse things could happen. But God is sovereign. He knows all the hairs that are on top of our heads, and my mind's getting a little thin up there, but that's our hope. God accomplished everything that he said he was going to do, and now we're just waiting for his return, and just loving our neighbor, loving him, and trying not to go nuts while the whole world is going crazy. And at some point, we've got to be the ones to say, hey, there's something better that you're not getting. Let me explain it to you. So I'm going to finish my tuna separate. But guys, yeah, I mean, if anybody has questions, there's tons of stuff out there, and I would very highly recommend the American Gospel films. The first one is about the prosperity gospel movements here in the States and abroad, and the second one tackles the issues of the progressive emergent movement and the attributes of God. And that's the thing, guys. If you watch my channel for a period of time, I started off doing music, and then I kind of got into some of the chili head stuff, and it was just something I didn't really want to push on either community. But this was one I just want to sit down, have a little talk, and share my heart. Although that's, it's not Bible. I'm not going to tell you, the Lord told me to tell you. It's like, no, it's just things that have been brewing in my heart, my mind over the last couple of days, and been kind of stirred up, just worshiping at work and just trying to stay sane and getting things fixed. And But anyway, there's probably a ton of stuff that I've forgotten to mention, but just want to say, guys, stay safe, stay sane, use some common sense, and most of all, there are three things to live by. Faith, hope, and love. The greatest is love. Love God, love yourself, love your family, love your neighbors, and don't see people as trophies to be won, but as people that just need some guidance, some help. But yeah, like I said, going off the rails here, and I will call it good for now, and we will probably do a Moab challenge here in the next couple weeks. Got some things to kind of work on a little bit, and I've done several of them already, but just not all at once. So we're going to see how that goes. The Tube of Terror challenge that I did a couple weeks ago, that it was pretty stinging hot from here up, but about an hour or so later, all that prep work, and it just soaked up all the capsaicin, and it just said, I want out of here. And once that happened, I was fine for the rest of the night, and no major cramps. But anyway, guys, thanks for spending some time with me, and hopefully I was a bit of an encouragement to you. As far as my influences, as far as this stuff goes, like I said, Reformed Theology, R.C. Sproul, John MacArthur, those kind of guys, Paul Washer, Mike Horton, he's one of my favorites, White Horse Inn, and been doing some studying on amillennialism lately, and I think it's pretty cool. I'm a theology nerd, and at some point, sometimes when I'm actually sitting down and reading and trying to learn stuff instead of just wasting my time away doing silly things, but anyway, guys, thanks for checking it out, and see you soon.